These Mamod switch points work super snap now. This is a Peco throw. Mamod switch points. Not considered the best, but they cost way less than the nearest competitor. If you file here, take the edge of a large file and put a slight ramp right there so that some of the deeper flanges don't catch on it and hop. Similar here and here. The other thing you want to do is make sure that this is filed nice and even in there. This one here too stuck out a little bit. I did a filing there so it's nice and smooth. I roll a rail car back and forth to make sure it's okay. Don't know if you can see it, but right there, ditto here. And especially important on this particular one is here. You can break these easy, they'll just snap, but gently I bent each end up and down until it was smooth and the track was nice and smooth here, so that, you know, when I first got them, one end was up, if that makes sense, it would make things hop. On the other side of this, there's a tab, a metal tab molded right on in there, and so what would happen is when you turn that, it would go snap over it and snap into place on this side. Operating this though, the plastic Peco ground throw meant that it'd pull, and then of course the thing would come apart. So I filed all that off. You don't really need it anyway. You can see the edge of where it used to be. It ends right where my fingernail is now, but it used to go farther. Under here, there is a piece of metal. You can see it right there, that piece of metal. That piece of metal, you know, is a spring that not only held this in place, but would cause it to spring back and forth, you know, to keep the tension. There was a structure here where you had the ground throw that went this way and that way. Two problems with it. One, my larger, wider locomotives, like my Accucraft Sabrina, would hit it. And some of my smaller locomotives, when that ground throw was flipped that way, would hit the end of the ground throw. It was irritating to say the least, so you couldn't use the ground throw. The other problem is, because the motion of it was this way, the ground throw itself rolled in the direction that you're pushing the track, the vibration of the train going over it would cause it to creep. So it would slowly creep like that. And then what happens, of course, is you have derailments. So it wasn't reliable at all. Now, the Peco ground throw, because it's not in line with the direction, there's no creep. I can tap, nothing. It doesn't creep at all. So this is what I did. The combination of the Peco ground throw, get rid of the end here, do some filing and roll your rail cars through it to make sure everything's nice and smooth, nothing goes hop or bounce or catch. Unfortunately, when I was cutting this, I was a little too aggressive and it snapped the whole end off, which in the end doesn't really matter. You'll see on this one, the structure is still there. It's not snapped off, but I cut the two pieces that came up here that held the ground throw. And this switch point, similar, works great. Now this was up a little higher no matter how I bent the track, no matter how I jimmied it. So I did file it a little lower right there, and that took the hop out. But you can see where I filed, in the corner there, right there. Just make sure it's all filed really nice. Use Peco ground throws, ditch this ground throw, and it won't come loose and derail your rail cars. That's my story on these switch points. Don't be afraid of Mamod track. It will break easily, as you can see. This end piece, I just put it here at the end because it's already broken, but it snaps quite easily. So if you're careful with it, you know what you're doing, you screw it down nice and easy. It's going to look great ballasted with soil. And there you go.